Moral realism is the view that there are objective moral facts and that these facts are mind independent. This implies that these facts about what is right and wrong exist independently of our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs about them. Moral realists believe that moral claims can be true or false and that our moral beliefs can be justified by reference to these objective moral facts. There are many different versions of moral realism, but they all share the basic commitment to the existence of objective moral facts. Some moral realists believe that these facts are made true by God or some other supernatural being. Others believe that they are made true by the nature of the universe or by the way that human beings are constituted. Still others believe that they are made true by some combination of these factors. Now, let's take a look at the three main approaches to moral realism. Moral intuitionism is the view that moral facts are known through intuition. Intuitionists believe that we have a direct, non-inferential grasp of moral facts. For example, we might simply know that killing is wrong, without needing to reason about it. Moral naturalism is the view that moral facts are natural facts. Naturalists believe that moral facts are grounded in non-moral facts, such as facts about human nature or the natural world. For example, a naturalist might argue that the fact that killing is wrong is grounded in the fact that it causes harm to others. Moral constructivism is the view that moral facts are created by humans. Constructivists believe that we construct moral facts through our social practices and interactions. For example, a constructivist might argue that the fact that killing is wrong is created by the fact that we have agreed that it is wrong. Philosophers have made a number of arguments in favor of moral realism. Here are some of their arguments. One argument is based on the idea that moral disagreement is possible. If moral claims were simply expressions of personal opinion, then there would be no possibility of disagreement about them. However, we do disagree about moral matters all the time. This suggests that moral claims must be referring to something objective, something that is independent of our individual opinions. There is also the argument for moral experience. This argument appeals to our own moral experiences, such as the experience of feeling guilty or ashamed when we do something wrong. The argument claims that these experiences are only intelligible if there are objective moral facts that we are responding to. Some point to moral progress. This argument is based on the observation that moral beliefs have changed over time and that these changes have been in the direction of greater moral progress. The argument claims that this moral progress is only possible if there are objective moral facts that we are moving towards. Another argument for moral realism is based on the idea that moral judgments can be justified. If moral claims were simply expressions of personal opinion, then there would be no way to justify them. But, people do justify their moral judgments all the time. We appeal to reasons, such as the well-being of others, the fairness of a situation, or the principles of justice. This suggests that moral judgments must be referring to something objective, something that can be supported by reasons. Some say that there is the argument for moral motivation. This argument holds that we are motivated to act morally because we believe that there are moral facts. If there were no moral facts, then we would not have any reason to act morally. Finally, some philosophers argue for moral realism on the basis of intuition. They argue that we have a direct intuition, or revelation, of moral truths, just as we have a direct intuition of mathematical truths like 2 + 2 = 4. When we see someone being tortured, for example, we have an immediate intuition that this is wrong. This intuition, they argue, is evidence that there is an objective moral fact that the act of torture is wrong. However, there are also a number of arguments against moral realism. Now let's take a look at some of these. One argument is based on the idea of cultural relativism. Cultural relativists argue that moral beliefs are simply a product of our culture, and that there is no such thing as objective moral truth. They point to the fact that different cultures have different moral codes, and that there is no way to objectively adjudicate between these codes. They suggest that moral facts cannot be mind independent because they would not be able to vary in this way from culture to culture or even person to person. Another argument against moral realism is based on the is-ought problem. The is-ought problem is the problem of how to get from facts about the world, the is, to values or ought claims, the ought. If moral realism is true, then there must be some way to bridge the gap between the is and the ought. Many philosophers believe that this is impossible. They argue that facts about the world can never tell us what we ought to do. Some turn the moral disagreement argument on its head and say that moral disagreements cannot be resolved by appealing to moral facts. This is because moral facts are subjective and there is no way to objectively determine which moral beliefs are correct. Then, there is the argument of moral error. This argument says that humans often make moral errors. This suggests that our moral beliefs are not always based on moral facts but the requirements of the moment. Finally, some philosophers argue against moral realism on the basis of the problem of evil. The problem of evil is the problem of how to reconcile the existence of evil in the world with the existence of a God who is all-good, all-powerful, and all-knowing. If God exists, then he must know about evil and be able to prevent it. However, evil exists, so either God does not know about it, or he is not able to prevent it, or he does not want to prevent it. This seems to contradict the idea that God is all-good. However, I think it's something to do with free will. The debate over moral realism is a complex one and there are no easy answers. However, I hope in this study review of the arguments for and against moral realism have given you a basis for your own study into the nature of morality and the possibility of moral knowledge. Thanks for watching. Please give us a like if you enjoyed this video and feel free to comment to let us know your thoughts on it. Also, check out our other study review videos on other philosophers and philosophies.